Good morning, YouTubers. So today is going to be a different type of video. For today's video, ATB is not going to be here with us, and I'll explain why in a second here. But this video is primarily for the users of the website, but this video is also going to contain a lot of information about coming videos and a lot of information as to what to expect. So the first thing I want to talk about here is I want to talk about the website here, and I want to go over it because sometimes it can be difficult to browse the website if you don't know what it is that you're looking at. So what I've got here on the screen, this is your home page. You can see here, right there, these little tabs here, these tabs glow red. Well, they don't glow, but they turn red when you click on them, and that shows you where you are on the page or on the website. And so I'm just going to go over this here. So take a look here in this little area here where we have a forum, information, and statistics. Now this little page here, I used to have it on the bottom, but I moved to the top because it's easier to see at the top. And this one here is going to show you the last updated post, the most recent post. It's also going to show you how many members we have, the last member to join. It's going to tell you when we were most active. It's also going to show you whose birthdays are today, but you have to click on this birthday button. So if you want to wish someone happy birthday, you can. It'll show you which users are online. So this one here, if you don't know where to go, let's say if I told you that there was a post happening and you did not know where to go to post on it, it would be very beneficial that you come here and you can click on recent threads and recent posts, and this stuff will show you exactly what the recent things are so that you can go on to without much difficulty. So let's scroll down here. Now we're just going to go over the different categories and the different boards that we have here. So in the first category here, we have the King's Palace. Now this one is a bit of a little stretch here. The first little board and little subsection here, this little category board subsection here, is called the King's Quarters. It's where I spend most of my time on the site. I spend things there. A lot of times I just post things here that don't require users to look at, because it's usually something like, say I left my flash drive at home and I can't get some information stored onto it, so I'll store it here in my King's Quarters things. But it's also where I post answers to questions that you might have for me. I keep it inside the King's Quarters. Sometimes I might put a couple of threads in here that might be beneficial to members, and if I do, I will definitely post it in the announcement panel. So let's go on down to the control panel, and I'm going to click on the control panel and show you what we got in here. So the control panel cannot be typed in or created any threads by any members that are not of admin level. So first I want to take a look, and I want to show you the member levels. And this is just a brief little explanation of what our member levels of things look like. So we have our withdrawn members. Now withdrawn members, now bear in mind this is an outdated version. I have to update it with the proper names because I've since changed the names from the chess system to a monarchy system. So I'll have to change the names. Now what this means here, you withdrawn members and the banned members. Banned members are usually members that have been temporarily banned from the site. And this can go up from 7 days to a month. Withdrawn members are members that have been deleted from the site and removed before breaking the rules in excess. So then we have our newbies, our new members here, and you see the new members have a lot of restrictions here, but as I said, I have decided to go about it and reform the system. And so these restrictions that the newbies have, I'm going to be eliminating. Newbies are going to have the full accessibility of the members. And so I'm just going to get rid of that entire newbie ranking. It's just going to be the members because, I don't need you guys having restrictions. So I'm going to remove that entirely. Then you have our Imperial Guard, which was a name suggested by the former Chancellor or Chief Administrator, who is now called the Grand Duke, Dr. Z. It was his idea to create the Imperial Guard and the Elite Royal Guard. But these are basically your higher standing members. You have the Imperial Guard. You can get this by getting at least a total of 10 karma points. It was called karma points at the time. Now it's called loyalty points. So you can get this by getting 10 loyalty points. In order to get loyalty points, you have to stay active. You got to post, and people will give you points depending on whether they like your content, whether they like what you're talking about, and generally speaking, it is a very easy process to get these. I mean, if I like you, I can give you 1,000 points on a whim if I feel like it. But you also have to have 100 posts, and 100 posts, I mean very constructive posts. You don't have to have a post that has as many words on the page as this one does, but something that has a lot more constructiveness than simply hello, how are you doing type of thing. I like to see lots of posts because those posts let me see that things are active, and for that reason, I have to have those type of things there. So with the Elite Royal Guard, these are elite members. They also have hidden forums and extra forums. I'll show you those when I go back to the main page. But you have here the Elite Royal Guard. You have to have a total of 250 posts or 30 or more karma points, which are now loyalty points. And I can also handpick the people that I want to become elite members. Just because you have 30 points doesn't mean that you're going to be an elite member. When you get 250 posts, it does mean that you have elite member status, but it does not mean that you're a part of the class of Royal Guard, because I have to go in there and I have to pick out the people, and I usually do so based on performance and based on how well you do with the rules and things of that nature. Then we move on here. This section here, this was a little test by me. I have to go, like I said, this is outdated. I was testing some lines of code here. But if you look in between here, you can see the word legendary member. And I think I've changed the name of that to something like Baron or something like that. But a legendary member is perhaps the most difficult member position to get, because this is currently only given to step down admins and step down staff members. The legendary members, they have a lot of power. They have extreme power over the website without being part of the site staff. So they've stepped down and they've regained it. So take it of this pretty much. You were in a position of power in the United States government, and you stepped down, but yet you continued to have a portion of the power that you had before you stepped down from your position as a United States government official. So say if you were someone like Bill Clinton, you stepped down from being the president of the United States, but you still have a lifetime of your selective service. What's the word I'm thinking there? The Secret Service. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. You still have the Secret Service that follows you for lifetime. You still have a very prominent position in the DNC. You still have a lot of prominent power in the political game, but without being a part of the higher system, of the higher caste system. I've also changed these things here, so I have another one here. As a matter of fact, I think I've got it posted down there. Let me take a look. So I said there's been a few changes. and I was supposed to make an announcement and I completely forgot about it. But I'll explain those when I go somewhere else. Let me go back here. Let's see if I got something here. Let's see. Site rules and regulations. This was the very first site rules and regulations that was made. It was made October 30th in 2012. So I'm not going to look at this one. I'm going to look at the new site rules and just run over them. The Constitution has a lot of the rules in there where you can really do things. But see, this one's just a very basic thing here. So these are just our very basic rules. The rules are no spamming. Spamming contains unnecessary addition of words or post to a post or thread or topic. Spam is also the overuse of our free posting policy. You should post in regulations. No person should post any more than 3 posts in a row when posting. Stay on topic with the thread. And also here we have our flamming. This is a term that I learned a while back. But this no flamming is basically don't harass our members. Please respect all members. If you have a problem with a member, please send a report to one of your moderators, which I will give you the proper names for the moderators in a second here. It also says there's no porn. We have a 0 tolerance for explicit material here on the website. The only exceptions are things of the nature of scientific study, where we have it and we post it in our fitness forum, and that is moderated by members of extreme power such as myself and the admins that cover that board. And you can post things that are of explicit material only if they pertain to the scientific study of the body and fitness. If they pertain to something else, the post will be deleted and you will be permanently banned. Because this is a family-friendly website here, at least I tried to hope so. It's a family-friendly website. You know, there's children here, and I don't need children seeing things of that nature. So now we also have here, you are never to delete a post or thread unless you are permitted to. This is a rule by mods or admins, because there's these posts and threads, they allow me to see what's going on in the website. So if I decide to make an admin or something, be sure to get permission before you delete a post or a thread, unless it contains explicit material. Then you have the right of way to go ahead and delete that and ban the user who created it. Now it also says do not spam the shout box, and I'll show you where the shout box is. At the bottom of every page, there we go. At the bottom of every page, you'll see this. This is the shout box. I haven't used it in a while. I haven't used it since May. But see, the shout box is a way to get in contact with members that are online fairly simply. Just go down here and you chat, and this way you don't have to go through the whole private messaging system. So now my most important rule, well, not my most important rule, but the rule I like to add the most, is be sure you have fun here. This is a fun place to be. I don't employ a lot of rules, because I like you to have your freedom of expression and freedom of speech and the freedom of just the ability to be able to express yourself. But I have to have these ground rules here, because if you don't have any rules, things descend into chaos and anarchy. But so here are consequences. You know, our staff, our higher staff, reserve the right to ban. Most don't, but I exercise the right to, quite literally, depending on the situation. Now, when a member has been suspected of a spammer or a flammer, our moderators, they have the ability to accumulate a warning meter. The warning meter, I'll show you what that looks like in a second here, but the warning meter, it allows us to warn members of their misconduct without having to resort to things such as banning or withdrawing them, because it allows us to post a number of a warning position and warn them ahead of time, so that way they have a little heads up as to what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and go back out of that. I want to show you this right here too. So if you see these little tabs here, you can click on these little tabs and they'll take you back to where it is that you want to go to without having to go back to the home page. So you see that? So I'm just going to go click right here on the control panel. Now this is going to be the page that, well, not the page, but the, well, yeah, because it is a page, but this is the thread that most of you are going to want to read, because it contains everything that there is to know about the site. And it's quite lengthy. It's a lengthy read, I understand that. But you see here, this is the Constitution of the Ministry. Now, I'm not going to read the entire thing because it's a lot of things and I don't have the time to do that. Well, I do have the time, but I'm not going to. But see here, we have our rules. These rules and regulations, as I said, I don't have a lot of rules. So I decreased the amount of rules here, and I just went ahead and gave some more information as to what these rules are. So, and so we have our basic: do not spam, do not flam, do not post porn or explicit material, and be respectful to all members. Then we have our ordinances here. Now the ordinances are quite unique in the fact that at the end of, oh, not at the end of every year, but at every anniversary of the website, someone will be promoted into the Hall of Fame. And so you see there's a voting system. And you see this voting system, regular members have a voting ratio of 1 to. So a member can vote for someone, and that vote's going to count as 1. But if a staff member, or let's say, if a staff member votes for someone, it's going to be a 2-to-1 ratio, because the staff member's vote counts as 2 as opposed to 1. But if you have a member such as myself, such as the chief administrator, who's now known as the Grand Duke, a legendary member, or an admin, those votes are going to count as 5. So it's a 1 to 2 to 5 ratio. And this allows us to be able to determine who's going to be promoted. And it's not like it's a very big promotion, but it's an honorary promotion to show that we appreciate the amount of time that you've spent with us, we appreciate the amount of time that you come here and enjoy to be around with us. But we also talk about a lot of things here, and it just goes on to show some more information that you might find interested to know. But I'm telling you most of it, so you don't have to worry about reading it if you watch this video. Now, what we have here is the democratic constitutional equality. Now, this is a small little section here, and it tells us that we're governed in the fact that it's much like the United States government, in the fact that we have branches. In fact, we have 2 branches here. We have the executive branch and the people's branch. Now you see, the executive branch will consist of myself, who is the king, which is basically just the owner, and the higher authority, such as our chancellor, well, it was formerly called the chancellor, the chief administrator, and now it's the Grand Duke, and the admins. So this is the executive branch. So I have the highest position of power. My second seat of power is going to be our Grand Duke, and then our admins, and our admins, which are the highest ranking members. They have a very high potential about the power. But then our lower staff ranking members, such as our global moderators or local moderators, our basic site staff, those guys, we got something there. Those guys are going to be in the executive branch, but they don't have as much power. But here's where the things go. This is where things matter. The People's Branch. The People's Branch basically represents the Parliament or Congress, because this allows for the people, the members of the website, to ensure that the executive branch is doing things that make sense to them, and it's doing things that's going to help them out. You know, I really stress that you read that People's Branch section, because this is all about you. This is also a way to ensure that the site doesn't get corrupted by power-hungry people. And you have here, you can pin approval to be promoted to a higher representative. You can pin approval to be able to do things that you enjoy to do. And if you've been banned, you have the right to appeal that. You have the right to appeal that. If you believe that you were banned falsely, you can email myself. I will put you on the ban list, but I will remove your ban from the system. See, there's a difference between being banned from the system and being on the ban list. If you're on the ban list, you're going to have a line through your name, and you won't be able to post on the majority of anything. However, if you're in the ban system, you will be unable to access the website in any way, shape, or form. But so I'm going to go over here. We have our small little Bill of Rights here. We have freedom of speech. All members of the ministry reserve the right to express themselves freely, so long as they abide by the rules and regulations in doing so. We have our freedom of religion. All members of the ministry reserve the right to worship whichever God they may. However, as for the deciding factor among all justification on decisions, an oath under God of Israel is at hand. So basically, when we have our pending court, because I say we do have a court system, but we've never had to use it, because fortunately we've never had to ban anyone. I have banned people. I've deleted them from the servers because of certain things, but we've never had to ban any outstanding members, any members that we've had here. And the only one that's actually been banned, if you look down here, is Hades Ruin and Dr. Z, who is a Grand Duke, by the way. And this is Admiral Thor, who was the first Chancellor. He was back when this was called the Chief Administrator position. So he's a legendary member, you can see here, and a staff member. This here is our honorary member here. She used to be an admin, but she since stepped down, and now she's a Hall of Famer. But see, Hades Ruin and Dr. Z are the only two members that have actually been banned, and they were banned because they wanted to be banned, because they wanted to test out the system, and it was all in good fun. But so when we do a court oath, an oath under God is made, because it's a court, so what do you expect? So now all members have the right to vote. Yet the right to vote, with the exception of members that have been banned or pending ban, which is a warning meter of 65%, and withdraw members. Members have the right to vote. I should have put that as based, but based upon the articles of the voting society in the member levels thread. Now, members may vote on all circumstances eligible for popular vote. Now, you also have the right to do pending approval, which is basically if you want to get into a branch of power, you have the right to request entry into that position and wait for a leader of that position to accept you into that. And I'll show you what that means too. But this is basically our Constitution. This is a very simple thing here, and it's very, very simple. You just go in there and read it. You don't have to read every little detail, but I do recommend you read the rules, read the basic ordinances, and read this, the basic things. Things that if they have numbers next to it, it's probably a good thing to read it. You don't have to read the whole thing. This is a whole bunch of words. So just read the things that have numbers in it that really pertain to you. So I'm going to go back to our control panel here. And there was a time where the ministry had a contract, but that contract is not for the website. Many people think that it might have been, but it's not for the website. The contract, which I have taken down since, was actually for the ministry as a whole when it first began. You see, when the ministry began, it began as a little organization of just me and my friends back in high school, and this was a way for us to stay in contact with one another without having to utilize Facebook. And you know, we had a contract, and the contract was, and I quote this because I'm the creator of the ministry, but the ministry started off as a martial arts organization. It did not start off as a forum thread to discuss things such as politics and such as the things that we basically discuss here. What the ministry started off as was a martial arts organization, which was meant to help instill confidence in oneself and one's ability. It was also meant to help people enhance their skill level because of regular sparring activity. Since then, um, I have met quite a few martial artists, and a lot of them are honorary members of the ministry because they have the contract signed, but they haven't joined it yet. But the contracts aren't anything that are legally binding. Of course, you could probably find a way to make them legally binding, but I'm not going to because these contracts are just made out of fun. So the contracts, they have no legal standing in them. It's just a little. This is a little something, you know, like it tells us basically, in the society we are martial artists. We aid each other in our struggles and our battles, but we will not fight each other's battles for us. However, we will not allow somebody to be beaten to bloody pulp, should that ever occur, which fortunately it has never had to. And it's as a martial arts group, it's very, very docile and very, very respectful. It's also a group that is, when we don't go around looking for fights. That's not what martial arts is all about. But that's basically what the ministry started off as a martial arts organization. And that's how we got our names. But that's a story for another day. But I want to go back, and I'm not going to show you everything that there is to know about the site today. I'll do a series of videos that will explain other provisions of the site. I was just trying to go there, but here's another place that you want to click on quite frequently. If you come in and you see that there's something different here, it's good for you to click in there and go in there and look at it, because this is the announcement panel. This is where the top members, basically just myself at this point, because the rest of our members, our top members, have since retired from the site for the time being, because I closed the site down a couple years ago, and I've just not been opening it back up and trying to get it back on its feet. But the announcement panel is where we make all the announcements of things that are coming up that you should really pay attention to. If you want to be a member of the staff, always look at this announcement panel, because we have staff member applications that come up all the time in this announcement panel. As a matter of fact, if you see here, the last announcement was a staff applications post made on September 1st, 2015. Now, this is the VIP section. Most members will not be able to see this, because this is only available to the members that have become Imperial Guards and Elite Royal Guards, and you gain access to these boards. This one here is for the Imperial, and this one here is for the Elite. The Elite can access the Imperial and the Elite. However, the Imperial cannot see the Elite. So also we have our little game room here. It's a game and discussion room. This is where we go to talk about many things about video games pertaining to things like that. And this is going to be used quite frequently coming up in the recent videos that I'm going to be doing. This is going to happen quite often. So I want you to be sure that if you come here and you look on this, because this is going to be a highly used section, because we're going to be talking about a lot of things pertaining to the video games and the upcoming consoles and things of that nature. The ministry market, you don't worry about that. But here's another thing here. The admin hall. Only members of the staff will even be able to see the admin hall. But if you are, see here, this is an admin tab for members of the staff. This will show up. The admin tab will show up for members of the staff. So I'm going to just go scroll down. I'm going to show you the basic things. So we have it set up like this. We have categories. The Ministry of Order, the Ministry of Light, the Ministry of Power, the Ministry of Darkness, the Ministry of Chaos, the Ministry of Art, and the Ministry Inc.'s leased forums. Now, these categories are just basic names, but they have different things inside of them. So general chat is where most of your chat activity happens. It's where you go to do most of your things. You also go to your newbie forum. Be sure to tell us about yourself. Introduce yourself when you come in here. This forum here, you can post milestones, records, special events about yourself. You can post anything here. This is also a place where a guest can get help. If you don't want to join the website, but you want to be able to chat with us and tell us things that you want to be able to see on the show and that you want to be able to see happen on the website before you want to join, come here and go to the guest help questions and forums. Question and answers forum, because this is specifically dedicated to the guest, to allow guests to speak with us and give us feedback, and then that way we can work with the guests and hopefully get those guests to become a long-standing member. Now in the Ministry of Light, this is just a little area here where you can talk about your love experiences. You can debate with lots of logic and debate. You can talk about things. Let's see here, one of our members talked about, what do you think about legalizing marijuana? So we had a debate about that. We talked about it. These debates are very friendly debates. It's just trading information. That's how you build constructive thoughts. Is that you're trading information, and hopefully when in the process of trading that information, some of it sticks to you, either going in or going out towards both parties, and that creates a new ideal and a new mindset. And healthy debate is very good, because back in the time of Aristotle, when to be able to have open and free debate, that is the very premise of freedom of speech and freedom of expression, is to trade ideals so that you may be able to learn more, because those ideals and ideas that concern, they help you to grow and develop into the people that you grow out to be. Now we have our Christian Conservatives Forum. This is a place where it's basically we talk about God, we worship God,